So good afternoon, everyone. I think I'm audible. So I will be, after having nice presentation from the sir about technology, I will take you the fraud, how is the fraud is happening and how the fraudsters are using that technology. I think it's not working. So most of the CEO and head frauds are like that. We have seen that in our earlier Cartoon Network, Tom and Jerry. So all the CEOs and head fraud are like this, and fraudster is like the Tom, which always escaping, and every in the cartoon it is happening in the real insurance also. Out of 10 fraud you can catch 7 or 8, but still leakage is there. So while investigation, it is as a head fraud, it is always our duty to find what is the real story behind the document. But while we during processing the insurance claim, we just require the set of the document. We require the discharge card, we require the cancel check, we require the claim form, we require the doctor prescription and all these things. As a head fraud, it's me and my team duty whether it is all the document is created, are the actual or fabricated one. Insurance fraud, I think basis on my 15-20 year experience handling the insurance fraud or life insurance fraud, I can say is insurance fraud can only be controlled by two ways. Either you can stop the authentication at the time of underwriting, either you can stop the authorization at the time of the claim. There is no other way by way you can stop the fraud. Few interesting facts, the sir was telling that few interesting facts out of these are the data which is got published by the IRDA. Out of whatever the claim we are processing, around 15% fraudulent claim is getting processed. 86% are the fraud which is happening into the life insurance sector. 14% fraud which is happening into the general insurance sector. Good thing about that, whatever the 14% fraud which is happening into the health or general insurance sector, out of that more than 70% fraud are opportunistic fraud. That can be controlled with the help of the process, that can be controlled with the help of the technology and with a good manpower. Only 4% fraud which is happening, it is plan fraud, it is the nexus operating in doing the fraud. Sum assured which is more vulnerable is between 2 to 12 lakh rupees, the sum assured which is happening. And according to the industry report, whatever we are settling around 15% we are settling fraud case, and annual basis all insurance companies are settling around 600 to 700 crore fraudulent claim in a year. You can imagine the impact. If you think that condition is much better in advanced country, it is more worst. Few section which is dealing with the insurance, in India this is the no particular section which is dealing with the insurance fraud. Yeah, insurance is basically the contract. So whatever the section which are dealing with the contract, insurance is also applicable to the insurance contract also. Basically insurance is the contract. So whatever the section are there related to insurance contract in 1872, whatever this, section 17 which deal with about the what is the contract, talking about the contract, section 18 explaining about the misrepresentation of fact, and section 19 which is explaining about the void contract. So these are the different contract which is explaining when at the time of any insurance fraud which is happening, when we are approaching to the police, the first question police asks to us whether you have paid the claim, whether you have not paid the claim. If you have paid the claim, then it is the criminal case, then the IPC section can apply. If you have not paid the claim, they don't even register the complaint. They just simply give the warning and this thing. And this is the case example where this first time that fraud definition come into the legal some court case. Different kind of the health insurance fraud. Basically the two kind of the health insurance fraud. One is the soft fraud, one is the hard fraud. Soft fraud, whether this OPT to IPT conversion, bill inflation, admission only for limited to diagnosis, prolonged hospitalization, non-disclosure, pre-existing. Some hard fraud which is around 6 to 8% of whatever the claim we are getting on the monthly basis. No hospitalization, fabricated document, no incidents, identity theft, fake accident, disease masking, impersonation, non-existing entry and claims submitted to multiple insurance company. If we think that in current health insurance scenario, everybody is doing fraud. Insurer, if you say that they will not disclose if they are suffering from XYZ disease, if they are having the previous insurance policy. Hospital, to get the business, they are manipulating the customer history. Treating doctor, because he also thinks that if I help the insured, he will get his customer. So he will also hide the pre-existing disease. Pathologist, they will manipulate the report. Advisor or broker, there is a main culprit who are doing fraud. TPA, that particular corporate, they could require particular TPA because they will process all their claim. Investigator, some investigator also in collusion with the hospital and employee. Few employee also they are in collusion with the hospital or insurance. After COVID, that fraud has increased because most of the company, they are focusing on the digitization, they are focusing on the remote working, they are working from the remote location, and more digitization, more fraud. The more customer friendly the company will be, the more fraud. Fraud can never be eliminated. Na kabhi khatam hua tha, na kabhi khatam hoga. It will be always there. 10% fraud is always there from the day insurance started. 10% fraud रहता है. 10% से अगर आपका ऊपर हुआ तो थोड़ा marginally increase है. In the time of COVID, it has been increased up to 60% fraud. So fraud management, different fraud management technology which is adopted by different insurance company, like predictive scoring model, employer trailing, fraud scoring predictive model, case management, and experienced manpower, gut feeling there, and separate fraud investigation unit in place. So none of the model, it is 100% secure. Different model, so that's why you cannot control the fraud. And by the way, in Aditya Birla, we are having all the model. Still, I can say that still there is a 1 or 2% leakage happening because fraudsters, they are using more tool for doing the different fraud. Reason why it cannot be controlled, because fraud is, in any insurance company, fraud is the least important. All insurance companies, they are focusing mainly first on the business. Second, data sharing. डेटा शेयरिंग, अगर आप किसी से ऑफिशियली कोई चीज़ मांगोगे ना, जितनी चीज़ें व्हाट्सएप पे शेयर होती है उससे कहीं ज़्यादा चीज़ें, कम चीज़ें मेल पे शेयर होती. बिकॉज इफ आई नीड टू शेयर सर्टेन थिंग टू अदर इंश्योरेंस कंपनी ऑन द मेल, मेरे को कंप्लायंस टीम का क्लियरेंस लेना पड़ेगा, उसमें से 4 चीज़ें निकालेगा, इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ निकालेगा, प्राइवेसी नहीं शेयर कर, बट बहुत सारी चीज़ें रहती हैं उसमें. लोगों का मतलब रेपुटेशन रिस्क रहता है. अगर बड़ी कंपनी जैसे लोम्बार्ड, HDFC, अर्गो या कोई बड़ी कंपनी के साथ फ्रॉड हो भी जाता ना, 1-2 करोड़ का फ्रॉड हुआ ना, मार्केट में न्यूज़ आ जाएगा, मीडिया में न्यूज़ आ जाएगा, पीपल विल नॉट से. Because of all such things, that fraud is day by day increasing. I was attending one webinar, and that it was telling that after AI and all this implemented, fraud will increase 3 times. And current situation is happening reverse. Most of the, I think, AI tool, it is all the CEOs and IT tech, they are sending to insurance company, they are telling you that after AI implementation, fraud will stop, fraud will never stop. In fact, fraud will increase 3-fold more. Because they will do the deep fake and all this thing, that technology will do whatever that fraudster is doing, technology will start doing that. So these are the different methods which are currently we are working on, the rule-based trigger predictive model, Bima Satark, processing doctor, industry alert, and negative customer database, high alert advisor, currently which we are currently doing that. Good thing about the Gen AI and all this thing, we are currently, these all are the structured data referral, but we have started also getting, with the help of Gen AI, we are also getting referral from the unstructured data referring. So few companies like which are coming into the investigation, PwC and EY, they are doing the excellent job. These are the example of predictive model analysis. This is a flow chart I have just shown how this investigation, my team is work. They are whenever case referred to investigation, they approach to the customer, they take appointment, the insured visit, and then hospital visit, collect some evidence, treating doctor, verification, pathologist, lab, and they prepare report, and then submit it basis on the report. We take decision on the claim, whether we need to terminate the policy, whether we need to authenticate the claim. All these things happen. Basis on our investigation finding, normally we investigate around 10 to 15% claim of total claim referral. Out of that, we make 7 to 12% of the impact. In a month, I can say if it is, I used to save for a company around 20 to 25 crore in a month. This kind of the fraud which is happening into the health insurance fraud. Basis on that, finding, normally we add whether it is non-disclosure, then we used to terminate the policy, we add the customer into a fraud customer database. If provider is involved, blacklisting of the provider, caution tagging of the provider, and holding the payment of the provider. Any corporate or intermediary involved, employee, if they are involved, we used to terminate them. We used to show them show cause notice, any fraudulent claim paid because of the employee mistake. We used to also do the recovery with them. And intermediary, we keep on sharing the data with other insurance company so that if any intermediary is doing fraud in us, they also get blacklisted across the industry. Few case study that medical death converted to, this is a classical example. This is the example I will say, few example I will give that how health insurance fraud is happening. This is the case where the 50 lakh person died because of the liver cirrhosis, and it got converted, PM done, FIR done, police ka FIR, everything was done. And Sarpanch, Gram Sarpanch, they have shown us the place also, this particular place that person met with the accident and this has happened. And we come some information that insured wife is getting remarried in a period of 3 month time. Then we approach to insured wife and then we come to know that insured was suffering from liver cirrhosis. He died because of liver cirrhosis and all that document has been created just to get the insurance money from this. And 1 or 2 companies, they have already settled the claim basis on the document. This is the classical example how this, because of so much digitization, that insurance fraud is increased. This is the classical example during the COVID time. Most of the company, they are getting document on the WhatsApp and sending all the insurance, we are selling the document. And this Bangalore Nexus, this is 7 to 8 crore fraud happened only on the COVID claim, on respiratory disease, illness and all this thing. When we started collating the data, when we found the treating doctor himself on the ventilator, he was treating the another patient. And when we went, I personally went to the police station, 7 hours I waited in the police station, then they are telling, sir, aapko FIR karna hai kya? Don't do it, it is risky for you. Matlab, the person whose duty is to do the law and order maintenance is telling me, sir, mat karo. They have got political background and all this thing, whatever the loss has happened. Out of 8 or 9 companies, nobody has came. So I think after having so much conversation with our senior management, then I think HDFC Ergo and we have filed the FIR and currently this person got arrested and this case is still in the court. This is the classical example. I think after cracking this case, तो सावधान इंडिया बहुत सारे आप लोगों ने देखते होंगे. मतलब इस केस में तो मेरे को literally वैसे ही हम लोग ने उसको क्रैक किया. Person is, I think he was some broking firm में, that lady का husband, that insured का wife, she was working in some broking firm. She was the VP in some broking firm. And they took up the top-up policy for 50 lakh. And husband was suffering from some cancer. And treatment was taken in Chennai, and each setting costing around 30 lakh rupees. Insured was having policy with us for 10 lakh and no claim bonus, it was around 16 lakh, and later on that 50 lakh ka top-up policy liya, and within 3 month time we got claim for 90 lakh rupees. And management was behind me, Pankaj, 3 महीने के case में, Dr. Pankaj, you have to do anything, but 90 lakh ka claim, it looked like a pre-existing. So I've took approval, I've got certain contact, then I've taken the geolocation. Geolocation for last 1 year ka data. Last 1 year ka data, studied along with my team member, 6 month ka location prior to policy. I got certain diagnostic center where the person has visited to whether he got diagnosed, he already got diagnosed with certain cancer, MRI is already done. And this person was getting treated by Dr. K.K. Turel, who was a famous neurosurgeon in Bombay Hospital. He was the HOT. And I personally met with him and said, this, नहीं Pankaj, ये तो अपने को आपकी पॉलिसी लेने के बाद है, poor fellow that got diagnosed. मैंने कहा, sir, but insurance में ही सारा poor fellow insurance में ही आता है. But when I got the evidence, I've spoken with diagnostic center, then we have sent the so-called notice to Dr. K.K. Turel, sir, you are doing the wrong practice, it is against medical ethics. So all the people, but people don't realize that they are just trying to help the customer कि बट हो जाएगा insurance से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. But they forget कि whatever we are settling only basis on insurance is not settling out of their pocket. They are settling basis on the premium which is paid by the other insurer. Is another politician fake example, Nasik. Ruling party MLA, he met with, he died because of accident. And again the PM FIR has been prepared and they was morning में पापा बाइक लेके जा रहे थे, किसी ने आए हिट कर दिया और उसको हेड इंजरी हो गया, ऑन द स्पॉट खत्म हो गया. ड्यूरिंग इन्वेस्टिगेशन हम लोग ने बोला ठीक है चलेगा, सब पेपर FIR एवरीथिंग वाज ऑन इन प्लेस, कॉज ऑफ डेथ वाज हेड इंजरी, RTA डाइड ड्यू टू द मैसिव ब्लड लॉस, हेड इंजरी. इन्वेस्टिगेटर थोड़ा स्मार्ट था, बोला सर मोबाइल दे दीजिए देख लेते हैं एक बार. नहीं मोबाइल तो सर वो एक्सीडेंट हुआ तो टूट गया, सर आपका ही मोबाइल दे दीजिए. मोबाइल देखा तो उसमें जियो लोकेशन देखा, मॉर्निंग 6:30 कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट के पास विजिट हुआ था. कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट को हम लोग ने पर्टिकुलर लोकेशन पे विजिट किया तो पता चला कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट वाले 6 बजे आया था, ही गॉट बिकॉज ऑफ मैसिव हार्ट अटैक. स्पोकन विद दैट वो गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल के जो डॉक्टर थे उनसे बात किया मैंने, सर अननेसेसरी के लिए इफ यू इशू द शो कॉस्ट नोटिस, इफ आई डू द कंप्लेन इन IMA, अननेसेसरी आपका मेडिकल डिग्री लाइसेंस कैंसिल हो जाएगा. होता नहीं सर आप कर लो, मेरे HOD से मैं बात करता हूँ, HOD से, HOD बोला नहीं सर अभी जो हो गया तो हो गया, जो एक्शन लेना है लेने दो उनको, विल सी हाउ योर लाइसेंस शुड नॉट गेट कैंसल. So this kind of the corruption, this kind of this thing is happening in the health insurance this thing. This again classical example, most of the fraud is happening mainly in the critical illness or high value cases this thing. That person has taken the health insurance ka critical illness ka policy with us, and person's son was working in the Tech Mahindra. After he resigned, then he took the policy and HDFC already settled the policy. And during investigation, we came to know that person's son is working with Tech Mahindra and that got served by the Mediasis TPA. And we got contact and we just searched Mediasis is having the contract with us. So we have just searched the past data and we got this person got claim is already got settled in 2011 with Mediasis. And we take the past record and then we have rejected this case. Different kind of the fit. This is a classical example that person was doing the, this person want to go to some politics and all this thing. He was to do his ad on the Facebook for XYZ disease, get it free treatment at lower cost. He used to purchase the multiple policy across the different insurance company on his name. And then he used to do the impersonation instead of his, he used to send it to the disease customer and get operated. And across the industry, he got, I think, almost 1.5-2 crore का उसने चूना लगाया होगा अलग-अलग कंपनियों को. And then we caught him in the red-handed in Tertiary Care Hospital, this thing in Lucknow ka. We got in Vedanta Hospital, and where we have matched with the KYC document that was not matching. And then the entire story come, and we then retrospective we identify our data. It was again 2.5, 2.3 CR का policy is taken in the personal accident. So he was just waiting कि और कुछ भी आएगा, कोई किसी का accidental case आएगा, तो then he will impersonate. These are the again classical example where this during the time of COVID, because of digital verification, we have settled the most of the claim. And post when the COVID got over, then we used to do the paid cases audit. And during paid case audit, we come to know that all HRCT report, which was signed by the radiologist, were fake. It was not signed by the radiologist. He was telling he was misusing my stamp. I was not attached. And basis on that, we went to the hospital. And out of that, we took the recovery from the hospital, around 6 to 8 lakh rupees recovery we taken from the hospital. It's a recent one case. This is a case from Maharashtra itself, where the same family member, they got multiple insurance policy, and they are claiming with different company, Reliance, Future Generali, and ABHI, Tata, different company. And these are the list of the doctor. And during field investigation, we found that hospital is making only snake bite claim. So we can imagine that how many insurance company that PA claim is about to come. And during investigation, that hospital staff, they are doing manhandling with the field officers. Why you are taking our picture, why you are taking our data and all this thing. But basis on that, we have coordinated with other insurance company and we make sure that this hospital got blacklisted and policy got cancelled. and we have added into the negative customer database. This is a classical case of the litigation, whether the insured has taken 8 crore rupees ka policy in a short period of 1 week time. With the Tata, SDFC, Ergo, and all this thing, I've spoken with RGA and reinsurer company. RGA has rejected, but when we spoken with the Tata, they told, yaar, credit link policy, agar isko diya to yaar business ka bahut impact karega. We need to settle this case. Only, I think, after having the multiple discussion, only Future Generali and ABHI, they have rejected, they have hold the payment, and they have rejected the case, and basis on that, case went into the litigation. Litigation में गया तो legal वालों का नहीं, I think तो दीपक knows this case very well. तो दीपक के साथ अपना multiple discussion हुआ. तो लीगल के पास जब केसेस जाता है तो उसमें रहता है ना कि यार 4 कंपनियों ने सेटल किया, तुम इस पर डिविडेंस क्या है तुम्हारे पास, और उसका ह्यूमन लाइफ वैल्यू, ये सब चीज़ें अंडर राइटिंग के टाइम पे जाता है. पॉलिसी दिया तो देना पड़ेगा, नहीं करो इसको कंटेस्ट करना पड़ेगा. वी गॉट सीओ का अप्रैल में, नहीं आप करो, नहीं होता तो मैं करता हूँ आपके साथ कंटेस्ट. एंड देन वी हैव प्रेजेंटेड दिस केस, द स्पेशल बेंच हैज अपॉइंटेड, वी हैव प्रूफ दिस केस दैट वाज अ इंश्योरेंस शॉपिंग, इट वाज अ नॉट केस ऑफ देयर. इसमें फॉरेंसिक भी कराया हमने. फॉरेंसिक इट प्रूफ दैट इट इज अ बॉडी इम्प्लांट केस. And we won the case in the National Commission, we have won the case. Again, this is a classical example. I've given the few cases example with cases got into the legal. Again, there is a multiple insurance case का जिसमें HDFC, टाटा इन लोग ने भी सबने सेटल कर दिया था. हमने केस को रेपुटेट किया. हमारे पास 58 लाख का पॉलिसी था. मैंने कहा नहीं, ये केस मिसरिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ फैक्ट पे, बंदे का वाइफ का डेथ हो गया, हस्बैंड को पता ही नहीं कि पुलिस कब आया, कौन से पोस्टमार्टम पे लेके गया. मैंने कहा नहीं, ये तो कुछ केस नहीं है, तो वाइफ का उसने मारा है या तो उसको मेडिकल डेथ को उसने एक्सीडेंटल डेथ में कन्वर्ट किया. नहीं यार, अपने पास प्रूफ नहीं, कंटेस्ट नहीं कर सकते. मैंने कहा मैं कंटेस्ट करता हूँ, आप करो. वापस सीओ का एस्केलेशन हुआ, मैंने कहा चलो कंटेस्ट करते हैं. एक्सप्लेन किया उसको, जो केस वॉज ज्वाइंटली प्रेजेंटेड बाई आवर इन्वेस्टिगेशन, हम लोग ने प्रेजेंट किया ज्वाइंटली विद द लीगल एंड एफडब्ल्यू टीम, एंड उसको हम लोग ने ओम्बड्समैन में प्रेजेंट किया. ओम्बड्समैन एक्नॉलेज इट इज़ द केस ऑफ इंश्योरेंस शॉपिंग, उसका ह्यूमन लाइफ वैल्यू इतना कम है, इसमें नहीं हो सकता, एंड वी गॉट विन द अवार्ड इन ABHI फेवर. तो टेक होम मैसेज, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन शुड हैव फ्रॉड रिस्क management team in place, maintaining proper structure, data analysis, regular review of fraud trigger, and detailed resource industry coordination, sharing data on suspected fraud case, taking necessary legal action against fraudster, and separate fraud investigation unit should be in place. So any question if I'm okay to answer.